Eid Mubarak. I hope you're staying safe. Thanks for joining us on Nationwide today on the network service of the NTA. I'm Ruth Aguera. Welcome. Let's begin with the Eid celebration. Eid prayers were observed at various Jumat mosques across Bidda Emirate in compliance with the Niger State government's directive on the Eid-el-Fitr celebration. Esunukbe and Chairman Niger State Council of Traditional Rulers Alhaji Yahaya Abubakar was among worshippers at the Usman Zaki Central Mosque Bidda. Jones Ajay reports.
Bidda Eid prayer ground was under lock, which prompted the Muslim faithful to observe the 2-rakat Eid prayer at the various Jumat mosques. The chief imam of Bidda, Sheikh Adamu Yakatu, led the faithful in the prayer. Sheikh Adamu Yakatu prayed the Almighty to wipe away the global coronavirus disease. He asked the faithful not to forget all the lessons learned during the Ramadan fast and to also put it in practice. Eturupe and Chairman Niger State Council of Traditional Rulers Alhaji Yahaya Abubakar described the coronavirus pandemic as a trial period that God will surely bring to an end. Yahaya Abubakar implored his subjects to observe good personal and environmental hygiene so as to curtail the spread of COVID-19.
We hope and we pray Almighty Allah to direct our leaders, political leaders, to come out with a very, very formidable plan to ensure that all the sufferings that people have gone through actually have been catered for.
Yahaya Abubakar then prayed God to accept all the supplications offered during the just concluded holy month of Ramadan. Jones Ajay, NTA News.
And in Benin, we hear there was security presence at the Eid ground and Central Mosque in Benin to avoid congregational prayers for Eid-el-Fitr to ensure compliance on guidelines in line with safety standards. The ceremonial prayer was observed by faithfuls in their homes. NTA crew caught up with the worship in the home of the paramount ruler of the major Islamic town in Edo State. Let's hear from Agatha Egwari Ojo.
Security personnel stationed at the central Eid ground, which was empty as usual congregational prayers were cancelled. The chief imam of Benin, Eid-el-Fitr in Abulele, wants the faithful to sustain prayers against COVID-19.
You can spread your mat anywhere and pray. No, it's not necessarily must be in the Eid ground or in the mosque. Anywhere on the surface of the earth, do it. God will answer your prayer.
In Auchi, a town in Edo North with the largest Muslim population in South Nigeria, there was no congregational prayer. The Otaru, Alhaji Haliru Momo Kelebe III, observed the prayer in his home with members of his family. He says it is the first time in his life to observe Eid-el-Fitr with only family members. For the fact that people are still alive to pray at home is sufficient reason to thank Almighty Allah.
That we are here as we never had gathered before to appreciate you in our inner minds, in our conscience. We thank you. We know that you have blessed this nation. We know that you will continue to bless the nation. And we know that very soon ease will come.
The clergy says even though the month of Ramadan has come to an end, the people must continue to live a holy life and never return to those sins they abandoned during the fast. In Benin, Agatha Egwarojo, NTA News.
Well, some Muslim and Christian leaders in Plateau State say this year's Ramadan fast came with lessons of sincerity, honesty, selflessness and sacrifice to God and humanity. This was while felicitating with Muslims on the occasion of the Eid-el-Fitr celebration. Abdul Wahab Bankanti has the report.
In view of the COVID-19 pandemic, they challenged Muslims to observe all laid-down safety protocols and guidelines issued by the authorities with a view to contain the spread of the disease in the country. For that, they urge Muslims, as they celebrate Eid-el-Fitr, to continue to be law-abiding, have sober reflection, and exhibit the licensed lines during the period of Ramadan fast.
We pray that may the Almighty God accept our prayers and get us out from this pandemic that is ravaging the whole world.
The only way out of this thing is for everybody, and whoever you are, we have got to abide by the directives of what the authorities have asked us to do.
I would want to congratulate the Muslim Ummah for witnessing yet another Salah, and then appeal to them to please abide by the rules given by NCDC.
They salute the commitment of all leaders in enlightening their followers on various issues during the months, urging them to maintain the tempo even beyond the period of Ramadan.
Our priority as human beings today is love. Show love to one another. And if we have love, we can coexist with other people who have different views from ours.
They equally call for ceaseless and fervent prayers for the nation against the spread of COVID-19. In Jos, Abdul Habab Bankanti, NTA News.
Globally, the 2020 Eid-el-Fitr celebration was obviously a unique one this year due to the coronavirus pandemic that altered the known way of celebrating the festival in Nigeria. Well, in Nigeria, actually, Kano State has been identified as one of the states with high density record, and that was why the Eid was observed in mosques on the stipulated guidelines. Now, joining me via telephone is the special advisor to Kano State Governor on Media and Publicity, Salihu Tonko Yakasai. Eid Mubarak, Mr. Tankasai and Yakasai.
Thank you very much, and Barakah Salah to all Nigerians.
Barakah Salah to you too. What can you tell us about the mood of residents of Kano today being the second day of Salah?
Well, as you all know, the state government decided to allow for Eid prayers only, which took place yesterday after reaching some agreement on the protocols that would be followed for the Eid. As of today, we are back to the lockdown, which is today, tomorrow. That's Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday and Saturday. So the days of free movement is Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. So today we are back in lockdown. It was only yesterday during the Eid period that people had the opportunity to go out for Eid for just 4 hours.
Okay, so well, how is the Kano State government marking the feasts this time around? Because we know in the past there will be homages and visitations to the governor and traditional leaders.
Yes, traditionally there are a number of activities that the state government engages in. But of course, this time around, due to the lockdown and the coronavirus, the situation has been scaled down seriously. So yesterday, after Eid period prayers, His Excellency went to the correctional center at Goranduse, where he supervised the release of 294 inmates to mark the Eid celebrations. That was the only official engagement the state government has done. And then I think next tomorrow the governor will go around the graveyards, which is a tradition that he usually do, to offer prayers for all the deceased that have passed in selected cemeteries in the state.
Okay, what about children? I know usually there's this funfair for children. Can you give us a glimpse of the situation for children? I'm sure you have children too. Did you hear me, Mr. Yakasai? Hello? Okay, we seem to have lost that call. That was the special advisor on media and publicity to Kano State Governor Salihu Tonko Yakasai, just giving us a situation report of how Kano is faring during the Eid-el-Fitr celebration. Let's go to Ekiti State, where Muslims in the state have been advised to continue to keep the rules guiding their conduct as exhibited during Ramadan. Ayodeji Ogunshake reports that clerics called for more support to check the spread of COVID-19 in the country.
And unfortunately, a lot of the kids that have not been going to school understand.
Okay, I think we have Mr. Yakasai back on phone. So, Mr. Yakasai, I don't know if you heard my question. We're going to move on. Actually, we thought we lost you on the call.
Sacrifices that have to be made.
Okay, so what can you tell us about children? There's usually this funfair for them. That was the question I asked earlier.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's no anything specific or special for children.
Okay.
Of course, due to the situation that we are in
Okay, what would you advise? What would you advise parents at this time? I know a lot of people want to go out and have a feel of the celebration outside their homes, but what's your advice to Kano residents?
Oh, my advice is for people to exercise a bit of patience, to continue to stay at home. There are so many ways to be creative at home and create games. Have the children to feel that sense of celebratory mood that we are in. Create special dishes for them, special games, and so on and so forth. Even visitation is not allowed, so you can understand that, or is not encouraged, so you can understand the need for for parents to be creative at home and make sure that their kids feel that celebration that they used to, but it has to be confined within the walls of the house. So my advice is to talk to the kids, to make them understand that it is because of the lockdown, because of the coronavirus that we are in, and as such, everything should be indoors and no need for going out. At least that's what I have done to my kids, and I make sure that there's enough sweets and drinks to make them enjoy the salad at home.
All right, thank you very much, Salihu Tanko Yakase. Thank you very much for your time. And Eid Mubarak once again.
Thank you very much for having me. Happy Salah to everyone.
All right. So let's take you back to that report on Ekiti, where the citizens have been, residents have been advised to continue to keep to the rules guiding during the Ramadan, during the way they conducted themselves during the Ramadan. Let's hear from Ayodeji Ogunshakin.
This is one of the Eid prayer grounds in Ekiti, the state capital. This particular place is usually jam-packed with thousands of worshippers to observe the two ceremonial rakats. But today, the narrative is different, as faithful stayed at home to observe the Salah prayer as part of the precautionary measures to curb the spread of coronavirus pandemic. This, however, took us to homes of some Muslims who observed the Salah prayer with their immediate family members. To the adherents, observing the Salah prayer at their homes is unusual, but since such is in accordance with the laid-down order by authorities, they have no option since it is in accordance with the directive of Allah.
And our religion also permits us to obey the constituted authority. We believe that everything that is happening to us globally, Allah knows much about it. It is high time we look into the face of Allah, seek the face of Allah over the pandemic that is ongoing.
It only shows the uniqueness of Islam, that no situation that will come that Islam cannot be practiced. So this is what it demands now, that each family should pray together and the head of the family should be the imam.
Prayers for Allah's favor on Muslim Ummah and divine intervention for an early end to the pandemic were dominated at the Salah prayers. From Ekiti, Ayodi Jobishaki, NTA News.
In Aba, Muslims are busy with their businesses despite it being a public holiday to Eid-el-Fitr. Beauty Ehubamian reports that, quoting them, saying that though it is an unusual celebration, they are grateful to Allah for seeing the day.
Here in Aba, the place is calm. Unusual times, you will say, because most of them are celebrating at home. They said though this is the first time they are doing so, they are happy because of the opportunity to celebrate another Eid. Although it is a holiday when they are expected to take a break, most of them are out there in their various business outlets carrying out their trade. So Sani and Mohammed here say they are not celebrating today because COVID-19 has put a strain on their businesses.
I have 10 children with one wife. No food. Even they stay at the house, children are crying.
In Aba, Beauty Ehubamian, NTA News.
Thanks, Beauty. Unusual times, unusual measures. Well, let me hand you over now to my namesake in Lagos. I'm sure you want to feel the pulse of Lagos residents on the Eid-el-Fitr celebration. Ruth, it's your turn.
Thank you, Ruth. Eid Mubarak to you. Ensuring adequate security as the partial lockdown continues is paramount for the safety of lives and property. Lane Leneke takes a cursory look at enforcement in Lagos.
In the past few weeks, there have been fears among Lagos residents of threats to security, with pocket attacks on individuals and households in the current partial lockdown. The ultimate measures of good governance is the protection of its citizenry. Security operatives have endeavored to maintain utmost vigilance in enforcing restrictions and other security demands.
Most at times we advocate foot patrol, or at most motorcycle patrols, so that they move at interval, they stop, and they talk to people. They interact with people. They relate with the people they are for policing, and the people identify them as their own police. They have their own contact, and they are their first point of contact if there's emergency.
They need to improve on community policing relationship.
These submissions could serve as an appeal to the authorities to review enforcement guidelines in order to prevent confusion. The Nigerian army is also not resting on its oars in tackling issues of imposters.
We'll continue to sanitize the society. We'll continue this operation until we restore normalcy.
Some Lagos residents lauded the role of local vigilante in securing mostly residential areas from criminal invaders. In Lagos, Lynn Lenake, NTA News.
Commuters and commercial bus operators in Lagos are beginning to appreciate the importance of social distancing to contain the spread of COVID-19. While commending government for the various measures put in place, they, however, appealed to regulators in the transport sector for moderation in intercity transportation fare. Paul Omukagu reports.
The popular Ojuelegba motorbike is a major link to different parts of Lagos metropolis. Prior to COVID-19, the scramble for buses was survival of the fittest in this part of Lagos. The relaxation of the lockdown and gradual return of commercial activities has changed the narrative. Commuters now sit comfortably in commercial vehicles in line with government directive on social distancing.
The sitting arrangement is okay, but the money is costly. At least if they are carrying it at a rate of 150, it's still okay with them and with us.
We are sitting 2-2, but the price is high because some people might not be able to afford 215 naira, if especially this is their regular route.
Transport owners say they have restructured their operations to tally with measures by government to contain the spread of the dreaded COVID-19.
For all the passengers that they used to enter to board our bus, they have to wash their hands, sanitize their hands, and they must be with their face mask.
NG News observed compliance on the part of commuters and operators. The commuters are, however, paying additional costs, in some instances as high as 100 to 150%. In Lagos, Paul Mukabu, NG News.
That's it from here. Ruth is standing by in Abuja to bring us more reports after this break.
I wish to once again commend the frontline workers across the country who, on a daily basis, risk everything to ensure we win this fight. For those who got infected in the line of duty, rest assured that government will do all it takes to support you and your families during this exceedingly difficult period. I will also take this opportunity to assure you all that your safety, well-being, and welfare remains paramount to our government. I am using this opportunity to express our deepest condolences to the families of all Nigerians that have lost their loved ones as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is our collective loss, and we share your grief.
As women, we guard our homes. Coronavirus COVID-19 is real.
Wash your hands with soap and water regularly.
Use the hand sanitizer always.
Maintain social distancing and avoid crowded places.
Disinfect contact surfaces at intervals.
Wear face masks if you must go out.
Share faith, not fear.
Symptoms of COVID-19 are headache, fever, sore throat and dry cough, difficulty in breathing.
If you have this, please seek medical help immediately.
COVID-19 is real. Stay safe. This message is from the Women Wing of Christian Association of Nigeria. What we can.
As a strong immune system increases the chances of victims surviving COVID-19, a corruption-free society creates opportunities for citizens to thrive and prosper. Build your immunity. Stop corruption now. Report all acts of corruption to ICPC on this toll-free number 0800 2255 4272. This message is brought to you by ICPC and NTA.
Nigerians, let us take responsibility. Stay healthy, stay safe, and curb the spread of the virus. Take responsibility. The coronavirus spreads from one person to another. Let us avoid crowd gathering of any kind for any reason. Take responsibility. Avoid traveling from one state to another during these lockdown restrictions. Obey all the rules that are put in place. Take responsibility. Stop spreading fake news and unverified reports about the coronavirus. There is no known cure for COVID-19. Take responsibility. Observe all the measures that can help stop the spread of the virus. Together, we can do this, but only if we take responsibility. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's bring you the latest update on COVID-19. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control has announced 313 new cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria. A breakdown indicates that Lagos has 148 cases, 36 in the Federal Capital Territory, 27 in Rivers, 19 in Edo, 13 in Kano, 12 in Ogun, 11 in Ebonyi, 8 each in Nasarawa and Delta states. Others are Oyo 7, Plateau 6, Kaduna 5, Kwara 4, 3 each in Akwa Ibom and Bayelsa. Niger has 2 and Anambra 1. As at the 24th of May 2020, the total number of confirmed cases is 7,839, while 2,263 cases have been discharged, with 226 deaths recorded so far. In the meantime, Governor David Umahi of Ebonyi State is appealing to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control for the supply of more testing kits to fast-track the testing of people in isolation centers. This was while confirming 11 new cases of COVID-19 in the state. Kensley Okoro reports.
11 new cases are returnees from other states. The development Governor David Umahi describes as unhealthy, emphasizing that the major challenge is keeping people in isolation center for more than 14 days for lack of testing kits.
Where there are no test kits, what do? Some of them have stayed 21 days. So I think there should be enough testing kits in all the labs. So on the whole, we have 33 cases with 6 discharged.
The governor, who expressed worry over the porous nature of borders, came up with strategies to tackle the problem.
We are not happy with the porous nature of our borders. Anybody holding political or elected position in Ebonyi State will be required to be part of the monitoring team day and night. Anybody who fails to comply will leave the position.
While commending the council chairman for their commitment in the fight, Governor Umahi urged the Ebonyi people to continue to abide by all the safety measures to avoid contracting or spreading the virus. In Abakaliki, Kinsley Okoro, NTA News.
Training to enhance capacity of health workers who are on the front line in the fight against COVID-19 has continued in Taraba State. This time, the Center for Initiative and Development, in collaboration with the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, took the capacity building to the doorsteps of Federal Medical Center in Jalingo. Joseph Otson has more.
Very important to us because we are the healthcare providers, and it's a timely training for us to step it outside to see how we can manage this COVID-19 in our community
and help to minimize the transmission from human to human, and as well help the affected persons to know what is important to do at the time of maybe quarantine.
Our passion is to ensure that our frontline healthcare workers are first of all protected through the knowledge they have on personal protective equipment and infection prevention control, and they have the necessary skills and competencies, knowledge on how to manage these patients when they come through the doors and the gates of our hospitals.
This 5 weeks workshop is to build capacity of health workers saddled with the responsibility of managing COVID-19 patients without jeopardizing personal health. The training, according to the organizers, is going on in 7 states, including Adamawa, Bauchi, Benue, Gombe, Nasarawa, Yobe, and Taraba State. Over 3,000 persons are expected to benefit from the training. In Jalingo, Joseph Sound Otsen, NTA News.
And for Salah mood in River State, let's join Jenny in Port Harcourt to guide us. Jenny, Barakada Salah.
Very much, Ruth, and welcome. The usual festivities and excitement that characterize the public holiday to mark the end of Ramadan is missing in this year's celebration. This is as Muslim faithful are observing a low-key holiday in Port Harcourt. Osinachi Abraham reports.
The mood of the city of Port Harcourt is calm as Muslims in the city are adhering to the instructions of the authorities to keep safe even while celebrating. Muslim faithful are not marking the day in the open as the country battles COVID-19.
Honestly, I would like to know, I'm not happy with the way we celebrated the Eid-el-Fitr yesterday because we are not allowed to go to mosques.
Alhamdulillah, we celebrate it well and we thank God now, especially for the government. He's trying his best to protect us.
Before the emergence of COVID-19, holidays such as this provides an opportunity for Muslim and non-Muslim to socialize, recreate, and catch some fun. But the reverse is the case now, as everyone is trying their best to protect themselves and family.
To God be the glory. I have some Muslim friends. They've been keeping to the rules. They pray in their houses. I called them earlier yesterday because some of them had their Salah yesterday. They said I should stay in my house.
Although the River State government relaxed the ongoing COVID-19 lockdown to enable Muslim faithful celebrate, precautionary measures such as social distancing, nose masking, hand washing are being observed in the state. In Port Harcourt, Osinachi Abraham, NTA News.
Thank you, Osinachi. Given the importance of good roads to the overall development of modern societies, Cross River State government says challenges of COVID-19 pandemic will not deter it from providing basic social infrastructure to meet the yearnings of the people in the state. Paul Abel reports that Governor Nayade reaffirmed his commitment to the people while inspecting work on the dualization of the Calabar-Udukbani Road project.
This section of the Calabar-Ujubani Road being one of the access routes to Cross River State capital, Calabar, though a federal road, has been taken over by the state government. Due to its economic importance, the dualization is to ease traffic gridlock, connects to a spaghetti flyover, which links the 6-lane superhighway that will eventually terminate at the Bakassi Deep Sea Port.
River State, in spite of COVID-19, is working because for us as a government, as a people, Cross River State, we locked out our state against the virus and we allowed activities to continue. This construction work is very critical for us because this is where you connect to Abuja, this is where you connect to the seaport, this is where you connect to Port Harcourt, connect to the whole of the southern flank, the northern flank and up to the Cameroons.
The people are eager to see the completion of the project very soon, as it expects to boost road transportation services within and into Calabar. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
We are done from here. Ruth is back to you in Abuja.
Thanks, Jenny. The need to harmonize approach for a national front and strictly enforce the ban on interstate travels has again been re-echoed. This time around, it was on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria, where guests agreed that to effectively tackle emerging security challenges, the ambiguous and multilateral COVID-19 regulations in states must be harmonized. The guest also called for a more proactive approach in the repatriation of Almajiris to avoid being hijacked by criminals. Let's hear from Lydia Sampson.
The coronavirus pandemic has given birth to a new wave of crime leading to emerging security challenges. This, experts say, is because the criminals are following the trend and looking for new crime routes as people devise alternative means of survival. Following the restriction of interstate movements in the country to curtail community spread of COVID-19, desperate measures like smuggling of people across states has become a new security concern.
I believe it's a big crime too, when we have given orders not to allow for cross-border traveling, and we're not even now shipping people in cars. We are trying to bus people in, or let me use it because they come inside trailers and go, so it's not even buses. So we are now trailer people into a particular region.
Government has to sit up and see how best we can actually ban the issue of Almajiri, because Almajiri is not in any way a prescription by Islam.
And not resting on its oars, new adaptation of crime fighting is being pursued by security agencies, even as Force Public Relations Officer DCP Frank Mba confesses that total closure of state boundaries is challenging.
If you want to lock down your external boundaries, they're very easy. You can put down your customs service, your police, your military, and then you seal off your external boundaries. But when you work to lock down your internal boundaries, where you have citizens belonging to the same states, but probably belonging to a little bit of subnationals within the same states, some of the communities in the two states straddling each other, and members even speaking the same language and flowing from one state to the other, is usually very, very cumbersome and very challenging, maintaining strict controls of those internal borders. And
the opportunity that I said we missed is firstly to eradicate the Almajiri system, and then more importantly, to take care of that component of society. They need education, whether formal or informal, or even skill acquisition. So that profiling would have allowed us to know the requirement. Now we missed out on that opportunity, and then of course what is happening today is happening.
The guests lamented the use of bush parts and other dubious means to flaunt the interstate movements restriction, which they say must be completely curtailed to avoid further spread of coronavirus. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
And still on the Almajiri issue, Kebbi State Government has received 61 Almajiris deported to the state by Kano State Government. Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, who received the children at the IDP camp in Kalgo local government area of the state, assured his commitment to their education and for the tests to determine their COVID-19 status. Usman Abdullahi Shehu completes the report.
The repatriated Almajiri, who come from 6 local government areas of Kebbi State, comprising of 18 from Dundee local government, 13 Arugungu, 9 from Jega, 4 from Kalgo, 3 from Bagudu, and 1 from Suru local government areas. Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, who handed over the returnees to their respective local government chairmen to unite them with their parents, said the decision to return the Almajiri to their state of origin was unanimously adopted by the 19 northern states governors as an effort to fight COVID-19 and address the lingering Almajiri challenge in the region. The governor announced that Kebbi State government will embark on Almajiri census shortly after Salah to repatriate non-indigenous back to their home states.
We don't want children going around begging for food because they owe it to society to look out for them. As much as we have challenges they are our future. So we'll pay attention and ensure that they get the best of care.
He commended Kano State Governor for subjecting the returnees to take COVID-19 tests before sending them back home. The Chairman State COVID-19 Task Force, Jafar Muhammad, who affirmed that all the 61 Almajiri returnees were certified negative of COVID-19, said others with positive case were left behind in Kano State at isolation centers receiving treatment. In Birnin Kebbi, Usman Abdullahi Shehu, NTA News.
All right, let's get Salamud in Kaduna in the spirit of COVID-19 restriction as we join Suleiman there to guide us. Suleiman, Eid Mubarak.
Very much, Ruth, and welcome to Kaduna. The mobile court set up by the Kaduna State government to support the enforcement of the lockdown and other anti-coronavirus measures in the state are making the desired impact through no fear or favor dispensation of justice. Majama Adamu reports.
What began as partial lockdown in Kaduna State in the wake of the global pandemic of coronavirus metamorphosed to a total lockdown due to gross violation of the partial order. Same story of non-compliance greeted the total lockdown, hence the resort by government to mobile courts to drive full enforcement. True to expectations, the courts are living up to their mandate, dispensing justice to all manner of violators brought before them. Among them, an army general who, though escaped fine for being on duty, travel, but his co-travelers were fined. The same fate befell a renowned national Islamic preacher and 2 persons in his car found without face masks. Many such violators are full of lamentations. State authorities, however, say there will be no relenting on the enforcement drive until desired objectives are achieved.
Anybody who is seen outside without his face mask, not wearing face mask, is entitled to pay the sum of 5,000 naira as fine. And for anybody who is seen outside who has refused to obey the order for lockdown, that is stay at home, he shall be liable to pay the sum of 5,000 naira as fine. And also, where there are more than 2-3 people in a car without observing physical distancing, the law provides that those people should be made to pay the sum of 7,000 naira as fine.
Already branches of the courts have been inaugurated in Zaire and Kafanchan divisions. In Kaduna, Majama Adamu, NTA News.
Eid-el-Fitr, an important festival marking the end of the month of the Ramadan fast, is usually observed with pomp and celebrations. The realities of the moment occasioned by coronavirus pandemic, however, have made observance of this year's celebration low-key under lockdown. Achari Maxwell files in this report on Eid-el-Fitr in Kaduna without the usual ceremonies.
Once a bubbling arena, especially at occasions like Salah celebrations, the scenario speaks volume about the reality of COVID-19 and the sacrifices that go with the lockdown measures aimed at curtailing community spread. Unarguably, one of the topmost event centers in the Croc City, now a shadow of itself. Other event centers in the city, like Gamji Gate, suffer the same fate. No patronage, no funfair, not even by fun-seeking children.
I'm hoping that soon coronavirus will be no more.
I wish all our ibadat has been accepted.
On the streets are combined teams of security operatives enforcing the movement restriction order. All this, however, do not take away the joy of Eid-el-Fitr, which marked the end of the 30-day Ramadan fast. I visited a Muslim family to get the sight and sound of the celebration under lockdown.
You find children visiting houses, Gaison Salah and the like, festivities all over. But we are all in the house, nobody can do that. We have to contain the children for them to understand equally.
Salah is all about visiting the relatives and all, but this time around you're all at home. Yeah, there's a big difference because there is no going out, we're all at home, and then now maybe you just go upstairs and sleep.
This year's Eid-el-Fitr celebration in Kaduna will go down in history as one under lockdown on account of the novel coronavirus threatening global health. In Kaduna, Achari Maxwell, NTA News.
Nationwide continues with Ruth in Abuja after the break.
The number of the COVID-19 cases in Nigeria is increasing daily, with many more tests ongoing. The battle of testing, isolating, treating, and attending to the affected persons rests heavily on the shoulders of our health workers, constantly putting their lives on the line and at risk to contain this virus, save and protect the lives of millions of Nigerians. To these health workers, we at the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, on behalf of millions of Nigerians, say a big thank you for all that you have done and are doing. To the security agencies enforcing the lockdown and every other frontliner, we say thank you for putting your lives on the line to save ours. There is no amount of words that can quantify our gratitude. Thank you. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
This is a very important message. Operation wear your mask, especially for people who don't old. No forget, your body no tranga like before. You not even tranga like your children or your grandchildren. So therefore, always wear your mask for this pandemic period. No, they too receive visitors, so even if not your grandchildren. Make extra mask where you go fit wash, make like 2 and that's your number 1. And if they come out for house, wear your mask always. And if you come back, wash your hand with soap and running water to avoid coronavirus. Make you for live long for your children and your grandchildren. No forget, Operation wear your mask, especially for people who don't old. Protect me, I protect you. Na coalition of societies for the right of older persons in Nigeria, COSROPIN, join body with National Orientation Agency, NOA, bring on this message.
Welcome, dear. Have you washed your hands?
Inside my house again. This thing not the key black man.
I don't know if it's misinformation or poor hygiene that will kill you first. Coronavirus is real, and good hygiene practice will save your life. Anyway, no hand washing, no eating.
I will not take care of it. How's one of the parents? Coronavirus is real and it's on the rise. But you can help yourself and help others to be safe. Remember, we can stop the spread. It's in your hands.
This message is from the Akinfade Foundation in partnership with the National Orientation Agency with support from MacArthur Foundation.
There is a lot of fake news and report circulating, especially on social media, on the coronavirus. Do not believe or partake in the spread of these fake reports. If it is not on the official website or news from the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, disregard such report. Only together can we beat this virus. Only together can we overcome this pandemic. Follow the instructions and guidelines provided to combat this virus. Most importantly, stay at home. Self-isolate, regardless of your status. The virus doesn't move unless we move. Let us work together to better Nigeria. Together, we can do this. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Thanks for being there. The governors of Southeast Zone have agreed to engage the Nigeria Center for Disease Control on the need to scale up testing of coronavirus in the zone, as the forum directs all Igbos living outside Igbo land to obey all extant COVID-19 orders, especially the presidential directive on interstate movement. Now, this was in a communique issued by the forum after its meeting in Enugu. Susan Eze reports.
In a 7-point communique presented by the chairman of the Southeast Governors Forum and governor of Ebonyi State, Dave Umahi, the governors directed the people of the Southeast Zone to comply with the ban on interstate travels, the hygiene protocols and directives of their home governors and those of where they live, as the forum engages the National Center for Disease Control on the need to scale up COVID-19 testing in the Southeast. On security matters, the governors disagreed with the community policing composition formula contained in a recent communication to them from the Inspector General of Police.
The recent communication from the Inspector General of Police to our governors of Southeast on community policing composition is not in keeping with the agreement we reached with him during his last visit to the Southeast. In the circumstance, we cannot begin implementation of it until the program reflects our earlier agreement with the IGP. The Southeast governors and their leaders request the IGP to please revert to our initial agreement reached on community policing.
The forum, however, commended President Muhammadu Buhari on the progress of work at the second Niger Bridge and the Akanibiam International Airport, Enugu. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
Well, lockdown or not, at home or school, the Nigerian children must be celebrated and empowered to attain their full potential of becoming responsible citizens come May 27th. Now, this is the submission of the Minister of Women Affairs while unveiling a series of events to mark the 2020 Children's Day in a lockdown. Momso Demian Deti will tell us more.
The 27th of May is just by the corner, and with the lockdown, the children may be losing hope on ever marking their special day.
The effect of coronavirus, today's effective Children's Day.
But not so for the Ministry of Women Affairs. The event must be marked even with the lockdown. So, the convergence of key players here is to unveil the theme and how children can participate online right from their homes.
Of this year's Children's Day is promoting the girl-child education for sustainable development. The team is expected to intensify sensitization and awareness creation for increased enrollment, retention, and completion rate of girls in schools at all levels. It's a day that children around the world look forward to express their feelings and to celebrate childhood. However, in whatever situation we find ourselves, we must do our best to give the child its rightful place.
To support the event and assist Nigerian women, a support group championing the fight against breast and cervical cancer donated personal protective equipment to the ministry. Momso Damien Dati, NTA News.
All right, let's join Kemi in Ibadan for more nationwide. Kemi.
Hello, Ruth, and a warm welcome to Ibadan. In the spirit of a season, wife of Osun State Governor Kafayat Oyetola has charged well-meaning Nigerians to use the Eid-el-Fitr season to reach out to the less privileged in the society. Mrs. Oyetola celebrated Salah by paying unscheduled visit to a private hospital in Ile-Ife, where she foots the bill of some patients. Femi Afariogun reports.
Tears in her eyes, Mrs. Okweyemi Oladokun, who just had a cesarean session, narrated how a number of hospitals rejected her because she had no money until this private hospital accepted to operate on her. Following information received, the wife of the Osun State Governor paid an unscheduled visit to the hospital in Ile-Ife. Mrs. Oyetola paid her hospital bill and that of a family with a similar situation, while extending the gesture to other patients in the hospital.
I want to appreciate her. Thank you very much, ma.
We should try as much as possible to be our brother's keeper and assist anybody who is in need. We should try and help.
Mrs. Oyetola advised mothers to take care of their children during this period, urging people to always observe all the advisory on COVID-19. From Ile-Ife, Femi Afariogun, NTA News.
The National Youth Service Corps has reiterated commitment to pursuing and integrating values that will make its mandate felt in every nooks and crannies of a nation. Correspondent Larry Belay reports that Corps members visited some communities within Ibadan Metropolis where they put smiles on the faces of orphans and other less privileged.
The National Youth Service Corps in Oyo State went to communities taking into account the current realities in the country
to enlighten on ways to curb the spread of COVID-19. And they did not go empty-handed, distributing foodstuff to the less privileged.
Because the pandemic is not even, it didn't take us by surprise because we already have programs on ground to take care of it.
She's doing this kind of palliative to remember us in this our community that we are worthy to be recognized.
The core members and NYC officials were also at the homes of the elderly and orphanages.
Pray that one day our children will join this group too.
I say my gratitude to God Almighty for the person I know is the General Gowan that started this thing. We always pray for him.
The corps stated that over the years they've been vanguards of unity, service and humility, which has positioned them to be able to participate in surmounting challenges that may face the nation. In Ibadan, Larry Bilayi, NTA News.
And that's it from Ibadan. It's back to Ruth in Abuja for more on Nationwide. Barkada Sallah.
Barkada Sallah, Kemi, thank you for that. As part of the activities marking this year's Eid-el-Fitr, the Nigerian Air Force has organized 2020 Chief of Air Staff lunch for the officers and men of the force in Kaduna. Let's hear from Abdul Malik Hassan.
A reception for the officers and men from different military formations is aimed at expressing gratitude to individual and collective sacrifices, foster spirit of comradeship, as well boost the morale of the soldiers in protecting the territorial integrity of the country against any form of external aggression. Addressing the troops, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, represented by Air Officer Commanding Special Operations Command, Air Vice Marshal Charles Owo, commended the troops for marking this year's Eid-el-Fitr celebration.
Notwithstanding, we should bear in mind that a lot is at stake in this war against banditry and kidnapping. We must therefore not allow ourselves to be taken unawares, and hence I enjoin all personnel to remain disciplined and not to relent in the effort towards ensuring safety and security of our citizens.
He said the force is committed to addressing the lingering security challenges in the state, which he said necessitated the deployment of the Air Force Special Forces to the frontline local government areas of Kaduna State. Air Vice Marshal Charles Owo further commended the effort of the air officers for their commitment towards ensuring the security in the country, especially the Northwest. He urged them to comply with the health professionals' directive to guard themselves against the COVID-19 pandemic. In Kaduna, Abdul Malik Hassan, NTA News.
Still on security, away from Eid-el-Fitr, the Nigerian military says the air component of Operation Hadarin Daji has neutralized close to 200 bandits in multiple airstrikes conducted at Ibrahim Maibai's camp in Jibia local government area of Kaduna State and Kurmin Kura in Zurmi local government area of Zamfara State. A statement signed by Coordinator, Directorate of Defense Media Operations, Major General John Aneche. The airstrikes were executed on 22nd and 23rd May 2020 after a series of intelligence missions led to the confirmation that the two locations were being used as hideouts for some notorious bandit leaders, whilst also serving as collection points for rusted cattle. The air component employing Nigerian Air Force, ground attack aircraft and helicopter gunships destroyed the makeshift structures in the camps, killing the bandit leaders and their fighters. Human intelligence sources later confirmed that close to 200 armed bandits were killed in the airstrikes at the target locations. The Chief of the Air Staff has directed that additional assets be deployed to cover Kaduna, Niger, Nasarawa and Kogi states to frustrate any attempt of the bandits to relocate to adjoining states. Let's talk sports. Nigeria Volleyball Federation to give palliatives to the National League clubs across the country to reduce the effect of COVID-19. Olumide Eguntola reports that the sport writers also benefited from the palliatives.
Just like in other spheres of life, this is not the best of time for volleyball players and officials due to the impact of coronavirus. This leads to the Federation's resolve to share over 1 million naira palliatives to the 18 national male and female volleyball clubs in Nigeria. The president of the Nigeria Volleyball Federation, Musa Nimrod, said the palliatives will, among other things, strengthen the ties between the federation and state associations as well as clubs. Meanwhile, he also extended the palliatives to members of the Sports Writers Association of Nigeria, SWAN, Kaduna State chapter, as members converge on Ahmadu Bello Stadium to partake in the distribution of palliatives donated by their patron. The food items donated by Nimrod and supported by the national president of SWAN, Ono Sirao, is to cushion the economic effect of the coronavirus pandemic that the sports writers are facing.
I realized that quite a lot of the journalists, 8 to 9 months, they have not received salaries, and I felt within me to assist them.
There is no household in Nigeria today that you take all these things into and they will not be happy.
Our desire is to see that nobody sleep hungry.
About 30 members of SWAN in Kaduna State benefited from the palliatives. With sports updates, Olumide Guntola, NTA News.